I came back from Africa feeling 100% Jamaican and 100% African.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. Glad you made it, let the good vibes grow. Take a breath, let the stress all go. You're right on time. Welcome to the show. Every story, every step will grow. Stick around. Let your true self go. It's Meek at heart. Welcome to the show. Yeah.
Hey, soft hearts and searching soul. Welcome to Meek at Heart. I'm Tameka. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. If you're a regular OG, nice to see you again, beloved. So usually before every episode, I share a thought. Now here's a kicker. I'm wearing something different from my actual interview. That's a one-off moment because we didn't quite get to do it the way we wanted to. But I still had to share what I've been thinking. So there's a particular thought that we tend to get wrong where we say blood thicker than water. But that's not actually what it says. It says the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. And what that means is who you marry into or where you marry into has a greater weight than who is your sibling or your brother or who you are born and become a family with. Yeah, that's what it says. That is what it means. And that is why the Bible is so clear when it says, when you marry, you must leave your mother and father for your partner. Now, I'm not saying that you should break up your family or stop talking to your brothers and sisters and your mother. Absolutely not. But too often when people get into marriages and into relationships, they forget that their family now becomes second to their actual spouse, to their wife, to their husband. So now, whenever you hear someone say blood thicker than water, please correct them. That's not what it means, and that's not how we're gonna live. All right? Ensure that there is the right order we follow. God, our spouse, and then our children. So that's what I've been thinking. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below.
Oh, it's Meek at heart. Welcome to the show. Yeah.
Dr. Orville Taylor, CD, is a rare polymath who has managed to leave an indelible mark on 3 pillars of society: labor relations, education, and media. Known for his sharp wit, unapologetic advocacy, and deep sociological insights, Dr. Taylor has spent decades bridging the gap between academic theory and the lived reality of the Jamaican people. Whether he's dissecting complex labor disputes, lecturing the next generation of thinkers, or painting a canvas, Dr. Taylor's work is unified by a single theme: the elevation of the Jamaican identity. He doesn't just observe, he engages with, challenges it, and creates within it. A voice for the worker, a mind for the classroom, and a soul for the arts. Dr. Taylor, CD, you're welcome.
For a moment I thought you were talking about somebody else, but
It doesn't sound like you?
no. But it also just reminds me of how long I've been around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I did just a lot of things concurrent, I suppose. But
So I did a good job.
it's been a journey. It's been a journey. Yes.
So first things first, when Ray, who is my videographer, heard that you were coming, he said, Ray might talk your business. I'm sorry.
Ray.
But
I said,
Ray.
Ray. He said, just call out his name. I say, Ray. Yeah.
I said to him, Orville Taylor is coming, and he said he's gonna wear black.
Yeah, but that's true. You know, the funny thing, for someone who has hyper sensitivity and above average colored eyesight, because I am an artist, that's my very first vocation.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked black. So I want to joke about it being something that I do now overkill because I just didn't have enough money to buy enough black clothes or bag. But that's really not it. It's always been one of my favorite colors. But as I became more and more seen as the black activist, the black academic, I realized just quite naturally, little by little, that I was wearing more black. I wasn't doing it consciously. And then I realized also that it took on a significance to my audience and my listeners and the people who I was teaching and engaging with. And then somebody started calling me the man in black because I was just working with Miss Ivy last boy. And then the man in black thing just took on more and more. And then one day I put on an earth color outfit, and I like earth colors, right? But I realized that it didn't look like me. Literally, it just did not look like me. And that was the very last time. And that was double-digit years ago.
Wow.
But I've worn dominantly black, certainly for most of my full-time academic life. Right.
So before Men in Black, the movie, you were the first.
Oh yeah, Man in Black. That's nothing to do with the movie. Right. But the blackness has to do with the centrality of black and African issues to me. And I say black issues because everybody is African. And some of the black people who exist now are not recent Africans, but they are black. So for example, you have a whole lot of people living in Melanesia, which is in the South Pacific. So people in Papua New Guinea, New Caledonia, Vanuatu. You have some black people living in India who are like the original people in the Kerala region, some Bonda, who you have the Siddhis who also live in India, who were brought into India somewhere around 1100 before the Western slave trade, who are still very African. They were, because the Arab slave trade started before the British, the Western European.
Oh.
So you have a lot of black people around. You have black Filipinos. You have black people, native Filipinos. You have a black Chinese set of people, ethnic group in China. So you have black people who had, for whatever reason, remained the same. So for me, it's not just about being African, it's about being black overall. But bear in mind the fact that I am very in tune with my Africanness. And by the way, let me tell you this. I've never felt the need to physically repatriate. So I am 100% Jamaican.
Right.
So when I made my first trip to Africa, so we went to Ghana.
When was that?
2024. First time in all my life. So I turned up in Ghana.
That's not your first African.
Believe it or not, it was my first physical trip to Africa, but I've gone to a lot of African things and parts of African diaspora and I've done the virtual things, because I'm an active member of the American Association of Black Sociologists and stuff like that. And I worked, with the African lecturers who were working here, was very close to them, but actually being on the continent. Yes, I felt the connection without any question whatsoever. But I came back from Africa feeling 100% Jamaican and 100% African.
Whoa.
Yeah. Absolute. It's not a contradiction.
It does sound a little like it. So you came back, I'm 100% Jamaican, but
100% African.
And 100%.
Yes, absolutely.
Explain that dynamic for me.
I can say it very easily. Tunisians are 100% African. They're North Africans. Nigerians are 100% African. South Africans are 100% African, and the percentage of black people in South Africa is actually less than the percentage of black people in Jamaica.
Wow.
So, and so the argument is, well, you don't speak African languages. That's how you know how many African people don't speak African language.
Yes.
Right. In Ghana, if you are Ga, and you grew up only Ga, and you didn't really go into the city like Accra, you'll never speak Tree. This is language just spoken by the majority. If you're on the border next to the Ibrahim Traore's country, that's the Voltairean region, the Volta region, you will speak a language that the people in Burkina Faso will understand. But when you get down to Jamestown, they don't understand you.
Wow.
So in the very same country, you can have people who don't understand each other, and you have cultural diversity within. Like, so Jamaica is just one of those enigmas. Jamaica is an African country without any question whatsoever. We are an African country flavored by others.
Wow.
Yeah. So so I don't need to do the wearing of I mean, I have kente, but I don't have to wear a kente cloth to feel African, because my bandana, the Jamaican bandana, is the Jamaican kente, and that's for me is my ethnic color, and I'm comfortable with it.
I love that you said that Jamaica is African with flavor of different things. I absolutely love that.
That, you know, a significant percentage
Of people
of Africans don't know that Jamaica is not physically part of Africa.
Really?
Yes, I
did not know.
Yes, it's 54 countries.
Yes. Yes.
It's 54 countries, and in the same way that most Americans can't tell you every 50 states, right? You don't know. So yes, and I'm talking about people who are going to university.
Wow.
Right? University. Okay. So, you know, I met this girl. So in Zanzibar, I met this girl who was from Uganda. You know, and I said, "So where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Uganda." I said, "Okay, where are you from?" So I'm from Jamaica. So okay, say, "Do you know Jamaica?" "Yes, I know Jamaica. I know Bob Marley." And that you said in bold. I said, "Do you know where Jamaica is?" I said, "In Africa."
Oh wow!
Believe it or not.
Oh wow!
Amazing. I'm extremely proud of being Jamaican. I'm Black Jamaican. Yeah. You don't notice something that Jamaicans, you know, every other ethnicity, every other country, right? Where you have Black people, you know, you have to say people don't assume that you're Black first. You know, they are Brazilian, you're like, you're mixed, but Jamaican is a Black country. Jamaican culture is a Black culture, flavored with others, but it's dominantly a Black culture. Out of many, yes, we're one. And it's not being racist, it's just being realistic.
Yeah.
You know, nobody has any question at all about Israel being a Jewish state. 70% of Israel is Jewish.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, right.
Good point.
So that's a Black thing, you know. But if it goes right back down to the aesthetics, when I am back into my artistic phase, and a lot of my work now has, you know, Black stuff in it. So I'm hopefully sometime, you know, after my retirement, I will have an exhibition called Images in Black. So I do a lot of when I draw, I prefer to use white charcoal and black paper.
Wow.
If you miss it, it doesn't look good. It's there.
Yeah.
But when you get it right, it looks almost photographic.
Wow.
Much better. So yeah, I like the Black things. Yeah.
So you have so many different passions. So we have...
I love people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me, where did that all start? Tell me about Orville Taylor, the boy.
Last of 4 children for my mother. My father had 3 children from an earlier union. And so I'm the last of the last. Right, my mother's the last child. My father was the last child.
Wow.
And I think his father, but that's my father, might have been the last. My father's father might have been the last child too.
So the last,
in fact,
last,
yeah, man. So you right. But the cool thing about that is that I almost grew up with a sense of history. So you learn vicariously about what it was like to live in a Watland Dam house, because my grandmother was born in the 1800s.
Oh wow!
Right. You know,
you sound really old.
There you go. That's like saying my grandmother was born in the 1800s. My grandfather was born in the 1800s. My daddy, my father's last child. My father was born 1915. So my father would have been, right. So my mother would have been 100 years this year, and my dad would be 100 and something this year. So you get it. So like my father used to have these conversations with me about World War II. And my mother could as well, because she was a little girl, but she would have remembered some of those things. So my father could talk to me about Jamaican history. And then, of course, you being the last child in the family and being able to read early, because I had older brothers and sisters. And by the way, I think my mother has 2 children before me who are geniuses. sister who I follow, and my brother. I'm not even on the same intellectual level like my brother. I just did more. It's kind of like with Asafa Powell not be the fastest Powell. The people don't know. Yes, Nigel Powell faster than him. Yes, and Donovan Powell faster than him. It's just that he got the training and got the MVP thing. So the Powell family would have been amazing if Donovan had probably got trained by MVP. Wow. But I digress. So deeply influenced by the processes of the 1960s as a little boy, and then the 1970s. So my brother is a multivalent individual, so I learned a lot of stuff from him. So by the time I went to basic school, I already was close to literate.
Wow.
Yeah, at age 3, when I went to basic school, I was already able to read and write.
God.
Right. By the time I went to primary school, grade 1, I knew words like lightning and chameleon and Saturn and cosmic.
Girls don't know what chameleon is.
Right. So and because I was reading comics, right? The first things I read were comics, and my brother had a painting set. I remember, like before I went to primary school, I knew vermilion versus gamboge or crimson. Those colors.
Wow.
And I was able to mix secondary and tertiary colors. So believe me, like primary colors, everybody knows it, right? So I don't know what it is like to finger paint, for example. So by the time I got to primary school, I could read, write. I wasn't very good at math ever. And mix paints. And I was just fast. Really, 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 really curious. Chatted a little bit too much. Right? My father, deeply religious man.
What did he do?
He was a taxi driver on and off, because he was an old man by the time I was born. Had a major accident and was unable to work for a couple of years. So when I passed common entrance, he wasn't working. My mother was a dressmaker. We were born in a tenement yard in compound in Waterhouse. I would make a joke that we were poor.
No.
Not poor, no. Poor, you can buy the 4 letters, right? We were poor. So, yeah, we were poor. But not poor in spirit. My mother had an excellent sense of nutrition. My father and my parents had a wonderful sense as to what was right and wrong, and also this thing called compassion. So, my mother was an excellent cook. My mother used to always cook too much. Whenever we had it. So there's always enough to share. Well, I would say too much, not too much, but we all had some where we could give our next door neighbors. Because at tenement yard, we had one standpipe. And then at age 7, we moved over to Duane Park, which very quickly became a garrison, Brook Valley.
Wow.
And that also shaped me very much. Poor, yeah, same way. We were doing the things, past common entrance, went to St. George's College. Very, very big deal because it made me aware of the social responsibility, made me also understand deeply how sharp the divisions were, and that while I was poor while going to St. Patrick's, with us more as St. George's.
Or just the P.
P. But the funny thing about it, Tameka, St. George's made me understand that there's nothing behind you. There's nothing. There's no social safety net. Your parents don't have it. My mother was my heroine, actually, still is.
Wow.
My mother, at the heights of our poverty, when my daddy wasn't working, and in poor community dressmakers don't make no money. She's a skilled dressmaker, and we were up helping her to make the uniforms, and then they come out with a story. Why, Miss Ivy?
Oh God.
So like, I'm gonna have the money. Next year, Mama's gonna give them. Right. And then the money comes eventually. Even Mama died, I still found stuff in the house years afterward.
Things that she didn't end up giving up because they didn't come for it.
I got them, but you could see they get extra stuff. Sometimes people would bring the work and not come back. That poor thing. And then you pay for 3 uniform and free to come back for the last. So we saw like half completed stuff. And so I learned some of the skills from her. I mean, I had to learn how to put on buttons and to hem and to put in the box pleats. Yes,
That's rare.
Yes. No, it's just pick up.
Not for a man.
My name Taylor.
Love that.
That's what the thing is.
Yeah.
Names being so, it's just quite coincident because my mother's maiden name was read.
Spell R-E-A-L?
No, read.
Oh, read.
My mother was a genius. My mother went straight from 0 to grade 3. Grade 3, the first time she went to school.
Wow.
They assessed her. I asked her how she does. She said, I don't know. And if she taught herself to read or whatever, I don't know. But she said first time she went to school was grade 3. And then she was so bright, they moved her to grade 5. And in grade 5, they said that grandfather, old days, country, deep country, so when picnic girl can sign them name, they mustn't go to more school. And she...
Oh, no.
So between my two parents, I have 8 years of education. My daddy completed elementary school. But my mother was very, very literate. She read everything that I wrote. She read my book completely. Right? And that she'd like read it and understand the subtleties. I like, here, yes, yes, yes. And she'd be cracking up. Yeah. Both my parents, you know, were really, really, really funny. Some of the things my mother said were, I'm not fit for airplay. So, like my mother, for example, let me give you a quick one. My mother would be going through it. She's 80 years old. She's going through the obituaries. And she pauses and she gets stoic. I said, Mama, what happened? And she said, I said, you looking for your friend? She said, no, man, make sure be there tonight. Exactly. Right. Or another one, and I'm going to say this as decently as I can.
Okay.
And another 5 years later, she's going through the obituaries, which she did almost really just then. She's sighing again, and she's like, Mama, what happened? She said, you know, my son, I'm 85 years old. I've seen my children turn out okay. Not you're all right. That's all I show off. But can I tell you, I have no enemies. I'm at peace, Mr. Really? So you forgive them, so forgive me. Oh, leave them. Right. That's my father.
I didn't expect the fact her mom.
And so sometimes my mother would say, you know, listen to me on the radio. And then I say a missed call, and I call the break. And she's cracking. And I said, Mama, what happened? And she said, what? Bird can't fly. And then pick me what? So I give my parents a lot of credit for this thing that I've turned into. My mother was a community person. There are lots of persons in the community who she literally took care of. She never moved from there, even though she was living half between the United States and Jamaica in the last couple of her years. When I finally developed the courage to open the house up, because I'd locked it up for 6 years after she died.
Wow.
Yeah, man, it just...
It really affected
deeply.
you.
Yeah, man. Brought down like an old ladder after the funeral. No, I did what she wanted me to do. I did the eulogy, and then I brought down.
Right.
So I went to the house, and I'm hearing all these stories, you know, about her buying stuff and selling from the vendors to sell them back to the community, so that, and at a loss, so that they could have it. Or that there's this fellow who's telling me a story about she finding a job for him. I don't know how this old man sitting in the yard. I look at work for the man. And she gave him like some money to buy the first set of clothes and shoes. And he was telling me about him. He said, your mother buy me them clothes. And I was on the phone when she called and tell if you can some money come. I'm like, yeah. And so like on a Sunday, she'll cook this big pot of food and or when, you know, she liked to make potato pudding, and she'd bake several tins, and then I turn up and I get like maybe 2 slices or something, and I'm hearing from everywhere people say, "Why don't Miss Ivy put 90% pudding?" And I'm like, "Mama, you share me out." Yeah. So my parents taught me not to think too much of myself, but still to be self-confident and to be proud of myself. Not to put my foot on anybody's head in order to stand up. Understand that never mind what people call tithing, your life must be tithing. So at all times, you must be able to give something. You must reserve a little bit of what you have for other people.
Wow.
And
so the tithing 10%.
No. I was never
is giving.
My father told me that that's not biblical for Christians. Yeah. So, but he said, listen, treat others how you want to be treated. My father made me rehearse Rudyard Kipling's If you can This Lord, but Daddy, don't forgive me. But it says something about, moving with kings and not losing the common touch. Not thinking too much of anybody, but not thinking too little of anyone. I grew up with the desiderata, listen to the dull and ignorant for they to have their story.
Have their story.
Right. And so I tried my best to balance being an egotist, which I am, and not being arrogant. I'm an egotist. I think a lot of myself. But I struggle.
I love the honesty.
No, man, I ain't talking about that. But you know something, Tameka, I also accept that I'm a creature of God and I've been given a gift. Right? So I've always not known that when I was working at the administrative public works department, I understood the gift that I had. So when I left high school, I had a short stint at the stamp office, a couple of months. Then I went to the Ministry of Construction, the Public Works Department. That is involved in just pretty much the Ministry of Transport and Works, as well as the NWA altogether. And that was a learning experience, really hard learning experience, a sharp learning curve. I was in HR personally in those days. And we had encounters where people were very, very hostile to HR. Not her fault, but because they didn't have information on their files. Some of them didn't have files, and the public service regulations and the staff orders were not friendly to the workers, especially those in the so-called non-pensionable categories. But I think I was going to university to work, right? So I was going to university while working there. So, yeah, man. I started university as a 19-year-old while working in the public works department.
That wasn't hard for you to
manage. Extremely difficult balancing it. Yeah,
I know going to university by itself is work.
With a transportation system that wasn't as good as this one.
Oh my!
There was no bus taking us to Mona Road, so I had to take the bus to Papine, leave at 4:30 to reach in time for my 5 o'clock or 5:30 lecture. And
in the morning,
evening after school, after work, hard, and So I'm there balancing. Some of the, do these very long leaf competitions. Some of the files were really, really fat and old. For digging up information. But there's one particular incident where I resolved it. The same one where the man was hostile. And when I resolved it, even though it took him about a good 20 minutes before he calmed down enough to want to talk to me, I resolved it in such a way that he came back just before my lunchtime and bullied me, literally bullied me. So,
oh my God.
And
the little boy.
You can't make a lunch. But I make take lunch and do this before I eat more than thing for my lunch.
Long time you not eat no hot food.
No, I could cook lunch once or twice, per week. I trust it from a canteen also, But he bought me, I remember, curry goat and rice and peas of roti and orange juice.
With roti?
Yeah, man, I love roti.
Yeah, I love life.
Yeah, man, big food, man, over by the restaurant across the road. And then when we're done, I'm saying, anyway, you can't go over yet. And in the hot sun, remember, I have to go back and work at 1 o'clock. This man forced me to drink 2 cold beer. Yeah, this is one of the times they talk about you have staggered working hours. And so to ice I went back in. But I wasn't drunk, but I was a little sweet,
Yeah. You feel nice.
But it was Carlton Foster.
Oh, wow.
And
you remember his name?
I remember yes, the public works department, very formative for me. And so by the time I was 22, I completed 4-year service with government.
Wow.
I had already been in the annual National Art Exhibition twice. I was in Young Talent, the art exhibition. That's for young artists, especially those who recently graduated from Edna. Well, it wasn't Edna man at the time. So, I was there doing all these things. I had designs on being an interpreter because just before I went to UWI and just after high school, I went to the Language Training Center where I decided that to be an interpreter, you have to pick up a second language. I was fluent in Spanish by the time I was about 3rd or 4th form.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I was pretty fluent.
So you did your own studies?
No, I did Spanish at O levels and A levels.
No, I mean to be fluent by 3rd form.
Something about my brain. My sister, who I follow, we're almost twins. She moved from 0 in September and passed CX GCE in Spanish in 1 year. She started,
Wow.
So I did the French course. I did the 3-month French course, introduction introductory French and ended up with a 6-month grade. So I have
Silence is unsaid.
I did a 3-month French course and I have a 6-month certificate. Right? No, what my sister did.
That's cheating.
But my sister, but my sister did the 9-month Spanish course, right? And ended up with a 12-month grade. So that's what I'm telling you. So the sister, right? So she doesn't like to speak Spanish though. She's really, really fluent in French, even though she flight attendant at 6 to 6.
Oh, really?
Still, yeah, man. And you want to hear her do the thing. Mesdames et messieurs, il faut maintenant accrocher les ceintures. I'm like, wait, I can't. See, but I had to say it in English. So everything was while at public works department, you know, I got the bachelor's. At one point, I was going to Europe full time. Going to Europe full time, completing my degree in Latin American studies while working full time. I was a leave clerk, so I skillfully took leave at different points in time.
Right.
When I completed the degree, now of course I had to move from the clerical to the administrative. I had designs of going to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs because I speak 2 other languages apart from English. And them say, well, no vacancy not there, so I can go and wait. And then I said, but I work in HR and I've done the industrial relations desk because, I filled in for the industrial relations officer for a few months when she was off on a course. And the director of personnel said that I had such an impact that I'm making mistakes. And I stayed and worked with her. And I said, but I'd love to do industrial relations too, as if I can do it. And then Tony Irons.
So that's how you got into it?
So
moving from wanting to be an interpreter, not having that opportunity.
So them say either you can go to ministry, you can wait somewhere for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but there's a vacancy in the Industrial Relations Division at the Ministry of Labour. I turned up, Tony Irons, old boy from Georgia, said, "Oh, Orville, you went to St. George's College, that's a good qualification already." And then he said, you have a degree, but the proof of the pudding is the eating because people have come here, people have PhDs and can't settle a strike. So how bright you are is how well you can apply. Anyway, I put my shoulder to the wheel and again, I'm a knowledge junkie. So I got to Ministry of Labour and it was a very tumultuous period. It's a ministry that exposes you if you're an idiot. Yeah. Expose if you're unbiased because your second strikes and disputes is real things. So it's not about how well you can do an academic presentation at the Employees Federation and come back.
Nobody cares.
The second strike are the people that were killed. This is the 1980s. This is 1980s when when the undeclared civil war is not over. And you have the PMP, NWU over here, sir, and TUC.
Right, during that time where he was
Listen, in 1985, you had a total of 800 industrial disputes and about 100 strikes.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. That's what I'm talking about. And at the time you had the free zone and me, I'm a little skinny boy, weigh 100 and maybe 20 something pounds. So 125 pounds. So turn sideways, you can't see me. But I had more mouth. And don't have dominant voice. I'm not physically imposing. But when I put a couple of words together, people say, "Oh, Mr. Taylor, but absence." But it was difficult too. The first couple of meetings I had, some of the employees, representatives thought that I didn't have the stature to conduct a conciliation meeting and walked out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, walk out. I said, "I'm not a little boy, preside over them matter." Similarly, I had the same thing with the senior trade unionists. But I remember one day I presided over a meeting with Hugh Shearer. And I didn't even know that up to recently, his widow, Denise Eldemeyer Shearer, said, Hugh HL spoke highly of you, he spoke of. I said, remember the little boy, how the boy handled the thing go. And so, again, it wasn't just about no IQ level, it's about doing the work. So I didn't refuse any kind of work, and I was interested in the overall operations of the Ministry of Labour, and including Social Security. And and I was continuing to study. They sent me off to Barbados for a year, did a specialized course in Labour Administration. They sent me as a guinea pig because they said, not too many people in the ministry had degrees. You have a degree already, you must can manage it, go and go do it. full scholarships. I went. It was one of the best
Was that
decisions.
by you?
No, at Tameka Hill.
Oh, wow. Oh,
So I came back, trained in labor and labor law. I did the same labor law course that the lawyer did. Landed back and completed the master's. I started. So at age 27, I have 9 years service, 3 pieces of paper from the university,
wow.
as well as, and then the following
3
year,
pieces?
3 pieces of paper, yes.
All right, tell me them. What I'm
Bachelor's, a certificate in labor administrations, and a master's in sociology. And then by the time I'm 28, I was ILO trained in international labor standards and conciliation methods and techniques, and went to the U.S. Labor Department where I did labor relations and democratic society. So at age, by the time I was 30, I was probably the most senior person in the Ministry of Labor who came up the ranks, who was not a politician.
The little boy.
No. I learned, and I said, and as a matter of course, and I studied the labor laws. And as I said to you, the Ministry of Labor tests you because you can't sit back and hide, because if you're too biased, the NW to one side, your labor right, or PMP, so you have to cut down the middle. And then growing up in the 70s and 80s, where my community was divided, because the whole country divided, the front of St. George's College is PMP, the back are labor right, same street, North Street, front part of Ministry of Labor is PMP, the back part is labor right. Right? And you have to walk through each of the gates.
Oh dear.
And half of the time you walk to work. And so being balanced and a mediator, conciliator was something that actually came very natural. But coming from out of the belly of the beast as a poor boy, you understand that you're part of the talented tenth, you know?
You're a part of the
Talented tenth. W.E.B. Du Bois said that black people who are given special gifts must use it for the overall uplift of the race.
Wow.
And so that has been my mantra. When I had the last couple of, every time I have a broadcast that involved like JSIF and SDC, PIOJ, etc., and I'm seeing my students come up. You know, at the last outside broadcast I had about best practices, it was like a kind of obituary, like where all my students were popping up all over with the stories. And I understand this, you know. So I've done like about 200 and odd speeches, right? More than when I counted last. But I've spoken at 60 at high schools.
Wow.
I've spoken at most of the colleges, and I've done a lot of primary schools, graduations, etc. When we went to Ghana, I went with my family to Ghana. We made a presentation to this really, really rural school.
Yes.
And I ended up speaking with them, the children, giving an address to the school, the children. And I'm hearing this tour guide saying how inspiring my words were. And that he never, in all the time that he's hearing anybody talk, it's the best time, it's the most inspiration he's ever got. That's the Garvey thing. Because I also grew up.
What did he speak to them about exactly?
About not just thinking about where they are, but know that they can dream, but as long as they focus and keep ambitious, and at the same time being very respectful to their elders and parents, because that's for me my greatest success, being my mother's child. You know, the rest of it is gravy. I don't want to feel as a human being. So I didn't feel as a son to my mother. There are other things. No, I was a great son to my mother.
Oh, okay.
I didn't fail.
Yes,
That's my greatest success. My mother,
yes.
I got the opportunity for my mother to tell me that before she died. So I begged her forgiveness for everything that I did. And she asked me the same. And I said, Mama, I'm not fair. It doesn't mean too much. She said, you know.
That's what she asking forgiveness.
No, we're good, very good. So then last year, in deep rural Tanzania, I ended up, it really wasn't part of the original plan, but I actually went to speak to some children in a Muslim school. They were learning English, and that went down very, very well. I even didn't stop and went into the crowd and was peeling cane and eating the cane with them. And they spoke enough English to understand what I was saying, and they was just so I get it, right? And this is what I do. And this is what I hope the Lord continues to bless me with the ability to do, to make a difference, right? And that's the Black advocacy, and that's the gift.
So my final question for you.
Yes.
You're a lecturer, author, talk show host, columnist, but which one is your favorite?
I'm an artist.
And an artist, my gosh, I'm sorry.
I'm an artist.
And that's your favorite?
I am an artist. And I'm not saying it's art that I do the best, but I'm an artist. Everything that I do is influenced by my art. Even my sociology is art. I was reading my interview that I did when I broke the record for being the youngest person in the annual national exhibition. That still is a record.
Yeah.
So
really?
I was 19 and Ella Manley was the eldest herself with the same exhibition.
Oh, wow.
And they interviewed me in the Sunday Sun, and I was saying that I want art not to be something esoteric. That's the word I use, but trying to sound bright. And it must be part of society. So, I mean, my art was always very sociological. But for me, I see the connections. So I walk into this room here, and I'm looking at the way in which light is hitting the plant, versus that plant here. And I'm looking at the way in which your color is coordinated. I'm looking at the fern pattern. I'm looking at the way the light is bouncing off on me. Okay? So I can tell if your makeup is right. Right? And so I'm doing it. I'm always looking. I'm a very, very visual person. So like when, we have big decoration around the house and stuff, and I said, stop, just tell me what the idea is. Just tell me what the idea is. But first of all, that can't fit in the space. That will. And that is going to throw out the color. So I'm an artist first and foremost. It's not what I necessarily do best, but
it draws a lot of
I'm an artist who has the ability to do other things.
Wow.
Right?
Do you sell your work?
Stop.
Okay.
Not selling anything.
So you just have them and put them down?
So it's going to be part of my
exhibition.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will. So I may sell a few paintings and stuff, but I sold paintings to finish high school, and there's just too much exploitation in art. I do not need to sell a painting. I told like an art collector, and then, he might have thought I was being egotistical. Just after the biennial exhibition, I was at the biennial exhibition 2010. That's my last major exhibition, and he said to me, you should sell me something. I said, why? I said, the art is what pays me the least per hour. Right. So, if I were to dedicate, the amount of time I spend writing or painting or drawing, right? You compare them, I get more per hour for talking. Right. So, in real terms, my art is not an economic way of using my time. So me selling you a painting is not helping me financially. I don't need to sell a painting. And furthermore, I make just about enough money to live off based from my sources. He said, yeah, I know, but I said, for what? He said, for your name to get out there. And I looked at it.
Your name.
I said, look at it. What is that? I said,
very few people not know Orville Taylor.
Exactly. And then he said that, and I said, the thing is, people will come to my exhibition because they want to know if this is one of the times when I'm actually lying. And as to whether I can pay. Because I say it's where truth comes to live and lies come to die. And which is why I did the illustration for the front of my book.
Oh, you did?
I drew that.
Oh,
I drew it. Yeah, I did it. So them can look on the front of the book. They're out of print.
I know that's yours.
Yeah, paid. I did it in illustration for my book. For both the books I've done. Yeah, I did the illustration. So you can't see something you can't paint.
Yeah.
But I'm an artist, and I put my art in everything, including the way that I write. Yeah,
it will definitely show up.
I write as an artist.
On our show, we have to play a game before you go.
Which was?
So, I heard you mention a little earlier that Miss Ivy used a proverb. So, The game is Know Your Proverbs. I'm going to tell you the proverbs, and you quickly tell me what it means, and you have 1 minute. Are you ready?
All right.
No cuss alligator long mouth till you don't cross the river.
Do not make criticism over situations until you have actually been there, or don't count your chickens before they are hatched. That is, you don't know what the difficulty lies ahead of you, right? So therefore, do not make any, don't take any risks until you have actually completed the journey.
Okay.
Right.
Donkey said the world a level.
Believe it or not, there's a profane element of that because as to we say
You can't say that far.
the donkey is very well endowed, but no. Right. It's a Bible. No, the donkey. Right. No, it's that there's always a lot of inequality, and the more powerful people are going to be advantaged. Yes.
What's sweet to the belly, I go bitter to the heart.
Okay, that's almost like when the ram goat must know the size of his posterior before he swallows up mango seed. The decisions that you make earlier have consequences later on.
Best quack who, but give him quatty. I don't think that's there. Beat quack who, but give him quatty.
All right, so
Did I say it right?
no, beat Kwako. Right?
I'm sorry.
Kwako is a Ghanaian name, the name of a slave, right?
Okay.
It's typical, it's a common name for a slave, but Kwako is spelled several different ways. Quako, So, in other words, give a dog a bad name and hang him or whatever. So, in other words, no matter how you treat a person, just remember that you should be fair to them, irrespective of who and what they are.
Cow head can go heavy if you carry cow horn.
You must never ever feel that you're better.
Yeah.
You're better than doing the things that will keep you going, and more important, you can't escape from where you are coming from.
And the last one, dog with too much owner go be without supper.
It's in essence, if you are not focused and you are dissipating your energy across multiple spaces, you are likely to not do anything well. It is the perverse version of being a jack of all trades and a master of none. Even though that's not what that's not what it says.
Yeah,
because this thing because I like the idea of being a jack of all trades. You know what it's really says, right?
Yes.
It's a jack of all trades and a master of none, but always better than a master of one.
Exactly.
I mean,
and a lot of I was gonna say that. A lot of people don't know the actual proverb. Thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed speaking with you. You have to come back.
I will definitely.
All right.
Thank you.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe so that you'll be the first to know when we post new content. And always remember, you can be the light that fights against the shadows.